So that's all he would tell me. This is something big's going on. So we have to believe that there's something that we have influence. And I take authority that I'm a child of the Most High. I don't, and even with like food I eat, I don't know everything that's in it. So I just say, I rebuke anything that's not to my higher nourishment of my body. And, in Christ's name or the Most High or God or whatever you want to say. But, I can tell you this, there's no way that Jesus wants us to be victims at all. He wants us to be victorious. And we've seen so much dark stuff because why? It's ruled by primarily, there's an illusion that darkness is in control. And they think that, but that's not what I've been told. I'm talking about by him. And so he's told me things that I didn't know that have come to fruition, about the children and the tunnels. And he told me that way ahead of time. And I'm like, what are you talking about? It's because he wants me to know that he knows. He's got this, it must come to the light. So people that are watching, and I say to you, Sabrina, and your lovely viewers, and I say this in love, this wickedness, especially hurting children or things of this sort, this must come to the light. Those people, they can still have mercy, but this has to be revealed. Do you understand what I'm saying? The balance is off. And so it has to be, these certain things has to come to the light. So in the meantime, I really limit what I see to keep my vibration high, right? I get up with gratitude. I thank God. I thank Christ. I thank for my breath. I thank for my dog, my Shih Tzu, my nutty Shih Tzu, for my husband, for the people like you. Thank you for giving Sabrina the encouragement to have her podcast, and for others that do that or that have the courage to speak out. And you can speak out. You can speak out boldly, but it's more powerful if you do it in love, because the dark side does not know what to do with that. They don't know what love is. They have a lack of love. So it takes all of us. That's why I support anyone doing this. And the people that maybe they don't, or they're jealous, they're still working through that lower level duality thing. They're still working it out. Some people will get out of that. Some will not. But this is about our journey and being like-minded with those that are like us. And if those that are similar to us, want to help humanity in love, that's great. Those that want to, fight or have war or whatever you want to call it, the trolls of the world, then they're free to do that too. There's a split. Can't you feel it?
I definitely think there's, to be fair, what I notice now is a bit more of a lack of agreement between people and lack of understanding of different opinions. We're almost like pitted against each other. Could lead to anything peaceful, right? Like if we cannot accept people thinking differently or having different opinions, how could we peacefully coexist if there's a constant rivalry in our opinion?
Yeah, I see that as also fading. And I'll explain why. When I think pre-show, we were talking about, congratulations on your podcast. And I said, yeah, Jesus told me after doing 15 messages from him on March 22nd, it was my birthday then, from him to people. And then he gave evidence. He gave scripture. I didn't know what it was, but it actually matched up. But anyway, after that, he told me in July, start the Seeking Heaven channel. I was like, what? And then he said, yeah, everybody have New Agers, have Christians, have no religion, have all different kinds, have different concepts, have near-death experiences, have other kinds of experiences, so you can see how they merge, have ancient, mysteries. And I said, why is this? He said, you need to get people to think for themselves. They've been locked and trapped into their own mind or their own matrix or their own, dogma. They don't even realize it. And so I have mercy for people that are trapped in that. So it's tough. I mean, look, I'm trying. I've had all different kinds of people, and I just, I don't judge. I just let them do their thing. I may agree with some, I may not, but I think it's your intent of coming from a place of love. I know that it can be done, but, I have other people that are, that are Christian, like, why are you letting this person talk? They're, way out there, they're talking about all this stuff and whatever. And then I have New Agers that, they may have a problem with Jesus. And I'm like, okay, religion aside, focus on him. And he goes, oh, well, he's fine. I'm like, okay, you really have a problem with him. It's like, oh no, he's cool. It's just the stuff, the baggage with it, that some people are traumatized by their religion. I was like, I'm so sorry. I find that people are also coming out of trauma. So this is where we need to have grace and mercy. If we expect grace and mercy from God, then we need to give it to people. And I just think a lot of people are hurt right now and they need healing. And honestly, we can do that not just now and through this kind of podcast or My Seeking Heaven channel or yours or others. We can do it when we're meditating or in our sleep time. We're very busy when we sleep. Let me tell you what. We start thinking how much I love the world, and guess what you're doing? You're out there just meeting with people, telling them you love them, helping them out, ministering to them, or whatever you want to call it, healing. So we're connected, and I think this is just runoff. Like when you have a storm and you have debris that runs off, but it won't look like that in a few days. It'll look very pretty. It'll look pretty once again. I think this is just runoff. It's like a little dog that barks a lot. That's all they got is a little bark. Really nothing else.
So I love that you talk about us needing to heal and the fact that Jesus is there for all of us and love can not be taken away from us, so we can always find our way back to that. One of the questions that comes from people that are maybe dealing with various forms of hardships, but when you feel like just life's challenges are too much for you to bear, and they say they've prayed, they've asked God for help, and they don't seem to see an answer to their prayers, whereas other people do see an answer to the prayer. We see different things, and it just begs them to ask, well, if God loves me, if Jesus loves me, why isn't he granting my prayers? What would you say to that?
That is a very good question, and actually I just covered that, and I'm gonna answer that question because here we go. Jesus just answered that. It's he did. I did a portal day thing, and everybody's doing portal days, and I'm like, well, I'll just ask Jesus. So I asked Jesus, well, why couldn't he do a portal day? Talk about, okay, what to expect. And then I did research and I was like, oh my gosh, that was kind of like what he said. But this is what he said. All right. Let me see if I got it. All right. This is kind of what he said in a gist. Okay, I'm going to read my channel thing. It's very short. Okay. He said, in summary, we should live our best lives, embrace and then let go of the past. All we need to do is to keep moving onward and upward with patience, because soul missions and higher purposes materialize with divine timing and not a moment sooner. I do think sometimes it is important to hit the reset button. And change is not only needed, but necessary for growth and happiness. That's where boundaries come in. Limit interactions with negative people, places, and things, and social media, but go into nature. A reset is a powerful way to start fresh and make things positive and to get started. And then he talks about, he talks about, I'm going to just summarize it, but he told this just recently in the Portal 3/3. He said that people won't change, but they keep doing the same thing. So they pray about the change, but they won't change the condition to get out of the, do you know what I'm saying? So it's like the woman that's with the abuser, husband or what have you, and either you get counseling or you get out of the marriage, or you know what I'm saying. You can't keep expecting the same thing. So sickness goes, that's a big one, because my friend that's on hospice is awful. And we'll take that as an example. Lovely person, just incredible, giving, just super nice. I prayed for her for 5 years, and then now she's crossing. She might even, as we speak, seriously, I just read today, it's that soon. And I asked, why would you leave? Why would you take a mother and then and a wife? And I know people don't want to hear this, but there's a greater plan. Why was I molested? That's not fair. Right? That's creepy. Why would that, I was a little kid. I needed a childhood. And then, of course, when my stepdad was dying, who was there, toward the end, I was alone in the room and I'm like praying for him. And I said, God, can you believe this? I don't know. That was like me laughing a little bit. I'm like, can you believe this? Like, it's me here. I was like, this is crazy. I'm like, okay. But, we don't die. So why do we have hardships? Because we signed up for planet Earth and it's hard here. I don't know, people don't want to hear that, but I do know this. Being an evidential medium, Again, been talking to him since 3, trained 8 years in the British stock. I thought, okay, if I'm going to do this professionally, I want to make sure the accuracy and so forth. All right, so I can tell you this. People that are crossed over have a constant message for people, okay? And that is, live your life fearlessly, go out and do it, give yourself joy, because you don't know when it's your time to cross. I also know that life continues, because otherwise, why would I be talking to them? Giving me all sorts of evidence about the time you went to a freaking circus and you got some cotton candy stuck in your hair. I mean, why would they be telling me this if their consciousness, right? And could they have gone on too? Yeah, both. It could still happen. Their consciousness and they still go on. I mean, we're pretty big. So we do live forever, and I think that's part of the lie. There is no death. And that if we know that there is no death, then we should live life with fullness and with love. We don't want to have regrets. I think the worst thing than having regrets would be, or let's put it this way, people that don't push it in life and try, they may be bored because they don't try, right? They just accept things in life, their fate. But if you know you tried everything, even if it failed, you can own that. You don't have a life of regret. And so you're not going to please people along the way. The sickness thing, we don't really die. I told Eva, if this is your fate, I'll still talk to you. But prayers matter. And on the other side, the ones that have crossed over, they pray for us here. They do. They pray for us here, and we pray for them there. Above as below, it is only one God for all. So Earth's tough. That's why we need to love each other. I mean, it's just that simple. I find that I have little regard for people that are abusive and cruel to others. And one of the things that I kind of myself been thinking about lately is, this whole Christian thing, forgiveness. Yes, it's important for our souls and for the other person. But no one ever said you got to take abuse. And no one ever said you need to stay in an unhealthy environment. And trust me, Jesus is not a proponent of that. And he is, that is not him. He's actually very bold, okay? He's very outspoken, and he would not be a proponent of that. He would want you to live your best life. But live in this world truthfully is, you have to be tough. But God knew what he was doing when he put us here. We're pretty resilient. So I don't know if that answered your question, but we don't die. So we should go for it. And we should also be kind and loving. We need to honor who we are, because God thought a lot of us to be here. He didn't make a mistake. A lot of people think he did, but he did not. So we do have a job. And again, we don't have to carry the whole weight. We just have to do a little part of it, and whatever that little part of it is. But I love how you put it, that love is your compass. That's absolutely beautiful and right. I have a silly little way of looking at things. It's silly. Humor is a good thing. We forget to have humor. Humor is so important. And as I use it as a coping mechanism with like the abuse, and people would ask about my family, and I'd make a joke and kind of deflect. That was a big thing I did. But then at some point I kind of got to be pretty good with jokes. So that worked out. But I look at things in a silly way. Okay, so they're archetypes. So, you got the archetype of Satan. Okay, let's think. Arrogant, self-absorbed, no mercy, debauchery. You can imagine a lot of drinking, carrying on. Okay, unethical. What would you say? Someone who takes control of everything. All the things, right? And then you look at the side of Jesus. Again, archetype. You look, okay, kind, loving, giving, supportive, long-suffering with you, best friend. So I look at it like, do they have more Jesus attributes? Are they kind, loving, long-suffering? Are they giving? Or are they just self-absorbed over here and want to do their own thing? Money, sex, this, that, attention. Or are they over here? And I know they're like cartoons, but it works great. Because if you see someone, you go, wow, they got more of this characteristics. This is kind of negative. I know it's cartoony. And then you think over here, you're like, well, they're more in this category. So, and that category is love. But if you had to have a comparison, and so I try to surround myself with beautiful people. And when you say, I surround myself with beautiful people that are loving, that are giving, such as me, then guess what happens?
Exactly. And that's the power of words that we spoke about earlier.
Yes. And then you'll meet your tribe of who you need to meet. And I think that, you're doing a great job, but we just need to do our next step, whatever that is. And if we have counter intention, it's up to us to recognize that and to recognize what that counter intention, I love what you said. If you're feeling anxiety, I notice lately, because I'm really kind of positive person, but then I notice, I hate to admit it, but sometimes I get anxiety. And then I realize it's around certain people. Yeah. And some of those I can't, totally fire because they're family, but we can have still strategies on boundaries, right? And we can still have a plan of action and limit the engagement and how we handle that. But yeah, we need to notice our body. And that's why some people say to me, oh, I go in here, I feel really dark and it's bad. I'm like, okay, well then don't do that, right? That's very good information. If I go in a hotel room and I feel like it's haunted, what do you think I do? I change rooms or I leave the hotel. I'm not kidding. It's actually a very good compass. I mean, do you feel loved and supportive, or do you feel uneasy?
I don't even want to ask you if hotel rooms are haunted, because I can imagine I don't want to know the answer to that.
Well, look, that little thing I said, if you go in and feel pressure, now how I feel, and a lot of people freak out. I'm like, don't. It's very good information. It's your compass. If you feel heavy in the chest, having a hard time breathing, your heart is faster, or some people, I don't. They feel nauseous. I don't feel nauseous. I just feel heaviness in the chest. I go, okay, where's it coming from? Is it the person? Identify. Is it the room? Is it the, whatever? And then I'll go, no, where's the feeling of dread? I went that location. I'll go, okay, then guess what? I don't go. And if I do go, I'll surround myself with so many angels, it'll be ridiculous.
That's a good strategy for going into hotels. So I'll be mindful of this next time, right?
It's just something I do. Okay, so you can get water anywhere out of a faucet, right? So when you go to these little fast food places, they have sea salt. You can carry it in your purse, your wallet, whatever. And I put some in the water and I stir it up and I ask God to bless it. And then I turn it in holy water and I go around the room and flick it in the corners. And during that time I'm there, if there's anything there, I'll say from this day to that day, officially it's mine. So they can go outside the room, but they can't come inside. I mean, you don't own the hotel building. Well, you know what I'm saying. Most people don't. But you do own it for the time of that. And so you have authority to say for the time, you're not welcome. You're to stand outside of this room somewhere. And then I flick it. I bless every room that I'm in. And then, that's just like homemade holy water, which works so much better than smudging. Smudging is like, doesn't really work as well. Water is an amplifier. Water is purity. There's so much healing in water. There are whole books on water and the evolution of water and consciousness and also the beautiful sacred geometry where, you've seen where you speak life to a plant or death. You can speak life to water and drink it and then heal yourself. That's one thing, like if someone has a negative comment to you or they try to put a label on you or whatever it may be, you can say, I don't receive that. You can just say, I don't receive that. I mean, that's not ugly or mean, but it empowers you, right? Isn't that a good one? That's a good one. You go, yeah, I don't receive that. And just look at them. It will very much intimidate them. So we have to, especially as people that you might call light workers out there, nowhere does it say we need to be walked on like a doormat, but we need to be a shining example, but we can hold our own and be empowered in a very gracious way.
That's a very beautiful way of putting it.
Yeah. You have a right. I have a right. We all have rights. And I see this all the time with the bad guys, and they're dumping on the nice people. And we can just say, this is not pleasant. We need to change the conversation or whatever. You know what I mean? You can still put it in power without being whatever. Worst scenario, you just leave. Well, thank you. I'm leaving now. And so we forget to do these little things that are empowering that we can pray all day, but we need to do some of the work. And prayer's good, but we need to do the work.
Exactly. Taking action instead of just praying for it.
Yeah.
And I think the two can go hand in hand. It's not one or the other.
That's exactly right. But people forget and they fall victim because they pray all the time, but they're not willing to do it. If you are taking your child to a doctor, or let's say their needs are not being taken care of, and you keep praying about it, why don't you just change the doctor? Yeah, I'm just saying, there's people I find, it's crazy, have lost common sense, right? Common sense. Oh, that makes me feel bad. Well, then just say, yeah, I'm not feeling this. I need to leave now. It's common sense. So I think that people need to really own themselves, own their power. And also what I do is that when I go out in public, and there's all sorts of mixed things out there. There's a lot of fear-based stuff going on. You can feel it. It doesn't feel very good. Is that I expand myself from my heart core, and I have it's just from my heart, and then it goes through my head, connects me with God, and then I make this big God bubble, and I make it extend really big. And then I go out there, and depending where I'm going, sometimes I'll bring Michael, the archangel, with me. And if I want to be invisible, I'll put a little mirror on the outside. But if I want to shine God's light, I do that. People generally leave me alone. Try it out. Say, I'm just going to be in grace, and I'm going to be in so-and-so, and you look through the heart of the person, even if they're not very nice, they'll change. There's something about walking in divinity, and it has to do with one of the higher levels of like purity, like the Essenes used to do. And you can walk in invisibility too, meaning you're not really invisible, but you put the intention, don't look at me. You might put like a little mirror, and because you need to get things done quickly. Maybe you don't want to be talking to everybody. But I do these things, try these things out, and just shifting within us how we are perceived. We're very powerful. And we can ask God, Jesus, the angels to come close to us and actually walk with us and fill us, and you can feel that power. Let me tell you what, the bad guys, if there's anything truly dark, they see you walking with God and the angels. They generally do not mess with you at all. I'm just going to tell you, they just don't. Why? They're not interested in that. They're more interested in people that are not spiritually mature and that know how to do, really it's spiritual warfare. It's just be like flossing your teeth. A lot of it's common sense, but a lot of people don't want to acknowledge that. And I think in this time, we need to have discernment of, this is negative, this is making me feel anxious, this is good, this is bad. We need to navigate that, and we can work in alignment with God and with Christ to do that. But we need to be in alignment with that. And when you get a no, that means no. Don't you get no's on things? And if we do it, it goes terribly wrong.
Yep.
For everybody. Absolutely. I'm just saying, me too. I mean, because they're trying to help. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So our angels are always there. I didn't know if you had a question about like the alien thing, or wanted to mention it, or what I think about aliens and near-death experiencers, since I'm in that book coming out with PMH Atwater, Aliens and Near-Death Experiencers, but whatever you want to do.
Would you like to?
Yeah, I mean, I can touch on it. I know we mentioned it. I won't go too much because it's been so great talking about everything else. And these things are so important because I just really, it makes me sad to see light workers that are not joyful because they give. And there's users out here, right? So we need to be very cognizant who's a user or who's a giver. And a lot of light workers like myself, we just give all day long, like an ever-ready bunny. And we need to just be really aware of our own energy and throwing pearls to swine, but through people that are like-minded or appreciative or so forth. The alien thing, that was something, you had said to me pre-show that a lot of near-death experiences, they're really worried about coming out. I was as well, because, I have family. It's like, didn't happen. Don't talk about it. Even though I have evidence, I was in a hospital. I mean, I have people that, there's obviously that's evidential. This is another layer. I think that our soul's evolution, as we handle one thing and we come to terms with it, at least somewhat, then the next door opens and it's the next layer. And you go, okay, should I go through this door? And some people don't want to go through the door. But me, thinking I'm led perfectly by God and Christ, I'm like, well, they're showing me a door. I guess I'll go through it. So one of the things that's been frightening, is as a little girl, when my mom, remember that near-death experience when I hit the tree and then mom ran off with this guy. Well, my grandparents had a really nice 10,000 square foot house. Well, my dad, the stepdad at the time, or she was just dating him, lived in a trailer, or for those, caravan, however you want to call it. It was, okay, it was not good, okay, on a dirt road. So here I'm going, no hot meals a day. Now I'm eating hot dogs all the time. And now I'm with a pervert. Mom's working temp jobs. My grandparents don't know where I am. So I start in my mind going, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here. And so what I did, I mean, we have to look at our contract, what we agreed to. Okay. We got to take some responsibility. Okay. I put a beacon out there, like doo, 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 you know, the bat signal. And what happened was what I couldn't see in that room for a long time. It was a very tiny room they put me in. It was like almost, it was like a closet. And the window was up kind of high and the bed was up high. It was a very strange little room. And I remember it being so bright, like a football stadium, you know, very lit up, very lit up. And it was super bright. And it was in this trailer park. And then I couldn't remember anything for a long time. And then I knew there was something in the room. I said, oh gosh, it's something creepy. I don't want to see it. So for the longest time, I went, I can't face it, right? Well, you got to think, you're here, you're fine. But I was like, oh, but that's going to open another door, right? So what I finally saw, and I did actually deep hypnosis, which I don't really need to be deep hypnosis because I kind of remember things pretty quickly because I've had so much past life regression. And it helped me figure out all this early stage stuff that kind of popped up. So I didn't say, oh, let's do other planets. That just kind of came up. But with this, we did this, we ran this specific thing, and I already was seeing it. I was seeing they were mantis people. They were a freaking grasshopper. Okay? I'm just telling you. And they were big. I don't know. Well, as big as the ceiling. They're kind of hunched over. And they were with two little gray things, those with the big eyes, like you'd imagine. You know, the aliens, the little ones. But they didn't have, they were like little human, they were fleshy, but they were robots. Do you know what I mean? They were like they're robots and they were with them and I could barely look at this. So I had abilities because I've already, right, at this point had crossed over twice. And so they saw people that cross over have a different frequency. I can be around someone, they don't, and I can say, have you had a direct experience? Well, I've always thought so because I can feel it. Our electrical makeup is different. So if I can feel it, you know, ETs probably can feel it. So here I'm going, help, I got to get out of here. So they're in my room. Next thing I know, I see white. And I'm in like this white walls. I'm in a hospital. And they take me to this underground cave. It was a military thing. And they worked on me with the abilities. I had a lot of abilities. And so I was in this secret military thing, yeah. And but the grasshopper people, the mantis people, they talked to me telepathy. They were very sweet and very nice. They're like, it's okay, you're going to be safe, we're going to help you, blah, 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 blah. The grays just did whatever they're told, like go pick that up, you know. But there were humans there, and they spoke German. There were reptiles in there too. And they had a whole program. You know, they talk about the secret space program, that's real. And so, but what I did is when I came back, I knew things. I knew street addresses. I knew at 3 and 4 years old, how to go from one side of town to the next street by street. Like nobody knows that. So I came back with these really super advanced abilities. And so in some bizarre way, I'm kind of grateful because it helped me navigate being with parents that weren't there or abusive, you know, so it helped me navigate that. And then it helped me with other people. And I met a friend and we got back together since college, and she said, oh, you were always like that. I said, I was. I tried to hide it. She goes, no, you didn't do a very good job. So it's helped me with myself and other people. And then now that I've, you know, seen that and I look at it, is it really abduction? I mean, is it? Because they kind of helped me, and they were very nice to me, honestly. And then at that point, I've seen ships. I've seen UFO ships. I've had more memories come out of technologies come out of things that I shouldn't know about. My husband and I were going to the mountains. This is 2021, and we had the two shizzers in the car. It took forever for us to leave town because it's just a thing. We got to bring food. We got to bring blankets. It just takes forever. So now it's like 7 p.m. And we're, you know, finally it's dusk. So it's not, the sun's going down. And we go, and my husband, who's really not like me, he's more normal acting, you know, he's very grounding. I mean, his name is Clay, so that tells you right there. He's very grounding. He goes, look at that. Like it's so normal. And it was a fleet of UFOs by our car. And I was like, wow, look at that. It was like no doubt at all. Like at all. I mean, it's not like that I've ever seen anything like that. But there it was. And then he goes, look at that. And then by my window was a huge one, and it was this red lava. And I found out later, like, what's that about? That's their heat signature. But it was very close to me. And what I got, this is crazy. I know it doesn't make any sense. But I had been looking at Ancestry for family because I knew I had family members I didn't know about. But when I felt that, I realized somehow I'm related to what's in that craft. And I felt like it was Syrian beings. And I felt this, not like Jesus, not that overwhelming, but I felt this love. It wasn't Jesus' love, but it was love. And I was like, they're just checking on me. And I was very sad when they went away. It's a very strange thing, like this odd reaction. So I had Mary Rodwell as a guest on my To Get to Heaven channel. And she said, every time someone sees something like this, there's a download. I said, what do you mean a download? She goes, well, they impart something with you. So after that, I could speak multiple light language. I could draw symbols, understand things that I shouldn't. Well, after talking to other near-death experiencers, they have a lot of ET and alien contact. So I tell you, I think my theory, I'm a work in progress too, but I think my theory is this. Because we've crossed over into another veil and dimension of reality, they're kind of out there too. They're not all of them are solid like us. They're more, some of them even appear like angels. We can't see them. Maybe we'd see them in colors, but they're out there too. So they're aware of consciousness. They communicate primarily through telepathy. This is kind of barbaric for them. And so I think as we pass through the veil, we are going, I told you I saw the galaxy and was hanging out there. I mean, that's where they are. I think that we interact. The other thing is when some people come back, they have memory of being on, like I was, the Galactic Federation. It's really changed my viewpoint, and I'm saying that lightly, but I had a whole tour. I was like an ambassador. It was a big thing. That's a whole nother thing. But I think that if you have a traditional dogma or mindset or thought, it's really tough to work that out. Do you know what I'm saying? But then you've got to ask Jesus about it. And he said, there's millions of planets. There's millions of others, and a lot of them look just like you. Not all of them. And I said, really? He said, very few are nefarious and that do dark things. Very few. The majority, they want, they may be different, but he said they want peace and they want peace for all. And I said, okay. But he answers a lot of things. I asked him about the reptiles. I said, what about these reptiles? He said, yeah. He said, they go to every planet. This is what they do. They try to impregnate the women. He said, they try to use this as slave things. They try to take over and use the resources. He said, what they do. He said, we're very aware of that. So he also told me that he works with other planets. And I'm thinking, well, he is who he says he is. I mean, he was like a pretty big deal in heaven. I just got to tell you. There's a rank, there's an order, and his order was pretty high, but he deals with other planets. So it makes you think, if we're consciousness and we're here in this life right now, I don't think we should be fear-based. There's others that are out there as well. And I think they're waiting for us to raise our consciousness for the exact thing you were talking about, like this whole duality, this and that, like we can't stand it, right? So they're even higher vibration, and they don't like it at all. So they're kind of waiting for us to grow up a little bit and work together better and find solutions that are more agreeable to everybody before they interface on a mass scale. They are just kind of individually picking up people that are more receptive right now that can understand. I think a lot of stuff we've been fed is very false. On that. And I've also called, when I did the Galactic Origins cruise, I was a speaker, I called a freaking huge, I don't know if you call it a mothership, but it was big with lights. It looked like 3 Ferris wheels hovering above the ocean. And I've got the film on that, in the middle of the Black Ocean. Like there's nothing that should be there. So, and I heard they're here for you. So they could have invaded us, eons ago. You can see them on caves and the Mayan ruins. They've been around. They're just kind of observing. They're making sure we don't blow each other up. But a lot of near-death experiencers don't talk about this because you're thinking, how does that go with that? Well, in those states of you don't have a body and you're a consciousness, it makes sense you're connecting with other higher forms of consciousness. So people maybe that struggling through this as a near-death experiencer don't know what to do. The way I do it is say, look, God's got you. It's all good. you're safe. You know what I'm saying? To look at these topics, and you don't have to know all the answers. You can just, okay, well, let me see where this goes. And you come from a place of love. So I don't believe being fearful about necessarily most topics. Do you know what I mean? I think that this is more of that fear-based stuff. I just don't subscribe to it.
I love that. And I think that's so important that we do our best to eliminate fear the best we can.
Yes, and we are not alone. Our consciousness goes on. It's bigger than we know it. We don't give ourselves enough credit. For eons, we've been told a history that's probably not true. We've been told we're small, we're minute, and we're not very important. Well, we're a creation of God, and we're co-creators. So how can that be? We don't die just by the sake of, look at nature. Look at the cycles. Nature doesn't die. Even when a planet's destroyed, it comes back. It is a rebirth. This is the way of things. We don't. Even if we wanted to. People go, well, I'll be so glad when I'm off this earth. I'm like, yeah, you need to work on things now because you're going to exit exactly where you left off. So you need to keep working on things because you do come back. I do think there's a select few of us, you mentioned early about not coming back to earth. I do think there is an agreement that's going on right now when Jesus said there's a lot of people that's going to leave. I think they are people that are pure in heart and might be considered masters that are leaving. And I don't know why. It's something big's going on in heaven. But it has to do with the shift. And there are others here that like, I'll suck it up. I'll help. I'll be here. It's okay. And there's an agreement ahead of time. But we do continue on with consciousness. I think it's so important to not get caught in this drama. Remember I said that dark layer above the planet? Go right up to that light, go right to source. And how you do it is that when you're praying or meditating, you just visualize. You know what I do? I'm just going to tell you what I do. I visualize Jesus' face. And then I am there. And sometimes I'll say, Michael, I'll get in a little tube with him, and I'll get Michael in the tube, or I'll get my guardian angel, and I'll say, take me to where my soul needs to learn. And then I'm protected, and then I go. But I don't go to this astral plane and looking above my body. That's weird. Why do I need to do that? I'm going to go right to the good stuff, because the lower level of earth and this realm, that is the archon realm. They're creepy. I don't want to be around them. I have to deal with them. But you know what? You need to be at a point where you can handle that too. Like, yep, not handling it. Nope, not doing it. And so it's, again, intention. But if you think of where your soul needs to be, I want to be in the presence of divine and have God tell me what my next step is, then that's what you'll do. But I think the tube thing works good. At night I lay down and I get in this big tube. It's like my tube. It's really cute. And then I have my angels with me. And I ask God where I need to go. And then sometimes I'll wake up, remember, and sometimes I don't.
That's a great experience. And I think what I'm taking from this is always being very pure about your intention and being very clear on that.
I think purity, I think if you drop it to not even a heart, but if you drop it to a soul level, you don't have to know the exact words, but on a soul level, there's a particular reason why you're here. You may not tell people because it's personal. And it may sound hokey. I want to share love with others. It may sound really hokey, so you don't want to say it. But when you drop it to a soul level and say, God, make my life worth something, there is nothing that is going to get in the way of that. I don't care. In your connection to God, legions of demons could try. It's not going to happen. That's what I'm saying. We have authority in God and Christ. It's not easy and it's tough, but that's why we have each other. And we need to remind each other of, as Jesus said to me, be the love you were created to be. Thank you. And you're a joy. I just have really connected to your heart. You're beautiful. And I support you and your message. You're going to do great. And I'm sure people just love you. Okay, connecting to me. So if you want an evidential life path session, I'm very good at what I do. You can go to southernbellmedium.com, and I guess you'll have it below in the description, but it's Southern Bell Medium, and that's Bell, B-E-L-L-E. And you can get a service from me. I read people all over the world. Croatia, New Zealand, Germany, everywhere. All over the world. It works exactly the same. If someone's interested in more, with Starseed services, I have that as well. And then I have an online school, which is academyofdivinewisdom.com. And you can find a free 30 minutes, really good Christ-like meditation, which should get you high, like in my NDE. It's totally free. And I also have a free one, like how to connect to the divine. But I'll be also offering other courses. I try to make it affordable and fun and build a community. So if you sign up for that, I don't send out a lot of mail for that. I send out usually a week, once a week, some little thing. I don't overwhelm people because I don't like it. But I do like to stay connected to people. So that's the Academy of Divine Wisdom. And then also my Seeking Heaven channel, which is on YouTube. And I work really hard on that. And I'm trying to bring people together, all different religions and so and so. And I mean, so far, it's gone pretty smooth. I say smooth. I mean, on the back end, it takes a lot for me to learn things, technologies, and I've done that. But people, yeah, all different kinds of people. I think that I hear so much that people do want to align their hearts, and they're ready. And I think that's why we're here, to help make this transition smooth. So connect with me. I am a spiritual teacher. And they've been telling me to do this for years. So here I am. I'm doing it. So if you want to connect with me, I offer wonderful classes, and my readings are very good. So check that out, both of those. And thank you. Thank you so much today.